Hello and welcome to the Bonehead Championship. I'm Ben from the Bonehead Podcast and welcome to the Match 3 Round 3 preview. So this is the last of our Round 3 games. So those are the ones with the Giants in. And our Giant game this weekend is going to be between the Marienburg Minotaurs, our Imperial Nobility team, and the undefeated Wild Hunters. So Wood Elves in this edition still putting up a pretty good fight. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at each of the teams. We'll have a look at the coaches. We'll talk a bit about the matchup. And then we'll have a look at our viewer championship. So first up, let's take a look at the Wood Elf team. So the Wild Hunters, they are sitting at 2-0 at the moment. They've picked up their Apothecary and they've managed to get enough cash together to pick up their second reroll as well. So this team is coming in at 1,135,000. They've got 10k in their treasury, dedicated fans 3, but the all-important second reroll for this team. 2 War Dancers, and a thrower that swung leader and is still sitting at 5 SPP as well. So could see the thrower pick up another skill this game if he does pretty well. Now that thrower being able to run around edge 2+, passing 2+, okay, with the pass reroll, could be pretty important here. So the nobility team tends to gum up the ground, okay, fend, stand firm, makes it really difficult sometimes to punch holes in things. So could be that the thrower here with that 2++ angle to get the ball out to somebody else, probably catching on a 2+, could be pretty big. Leader there allowing the team to essentially have 3 rerolls now, so we should be able to see some nice elfy turns. 2 catchers on the roster at the moment. Lethia, free heart sitting at 3 SPP, so no skills on them just yet, but only 1 touchdown away. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 linemen here as well. One of them has got kick. So this team is rocking 3 rerolls now, both War Dancers, 2 catchers, a thrower, and a kicker. Now, I don't know what this team is missing right now, except obviously a bench, but we've got the Apothecary there, so we shouldn't see any of our primo positionals take too much of a hooning without kind of being able to save them. And the Wood Elves are going to be taking on the Marienburg Minotaurs, our nobility team. Now this team has lost 1 and drawn 1, so a bit of a slow start for this team. TV 975 as well, so they're going to be punching a little bit above their weight. We've got Boney the Ogre, who is sitting at 4 SPP, so 1 casualty away from getting a very important skill on that big guy. We've got both the Blitzers on the way, Jules Ramey and Royce the Pomp, who is already at dodge now. So we've got 1 blodge catcher, okay, which is going to be pretty useful. Not quite as good as a War Dancer, but not bad. Podrick Payne, the bodyguard, is sitting at 4 SPP, so only a little bit away from getting a skill up himself. Angus von Muller, however, is out with a niggling injury, so we're down to just 1 bodyguard on this team. He's going to be replaced with a journeyman, a lineman with loner 4+, so a bit of a downgrade there. Maximilian Fancy and 1, 2 other linemen are going to be there. Maximilian Fancy at 4 SPP. Frank Farmer, one of the linemen, is out also with a niggling injury, so that's going to be 2 journeymen on this roster. We've got 2 throwers though, Ivan Volokov with 1 SPP and Fitzmagic himself with no SPP so far. So 2 rerolls on this team, dedicated fans of just 1, and like I said, a team value of 975, so 975,000. That means they're going to have 160k to take for inducements, and we'll talk about that in a moment because it's a really interesting point there for the petty cash. Playing this team against a dodgy team. So we've got Giants in there as well. So this team is going to have the Ogre and the Giant against a very fragile team with the Wood Elves. So this team here with a Wrestle, 2 block, 2 big hitters and a bunch of fend really can try and control the ground game here against those Wood Elves. But that throw game could definitely be the deciding factor. So let's talk coaches. And the coaches for this is going to be me and Ian Triplow. So Trips is back. He wants revenge after his last Imperial Nobility game, and so he's going to be running the Nobility, he's going to be running the Marienburg Minotaurs, and I'm going to be taking the Wild Hunters. I do like my agility teams, and I do like running Wood Elves. Had a good couple of games with them so far in the league, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. So let's talk matchup. First things to mention is the fact that we've got Giants. Okay, this is a Giant round. I'm feeling good about having a giant on the Wood Elf team. It's going to give me a bit of bash, but most importantly, it's going to be one more body to put on the line. And at armor 11 and strength 7, the giant should be able to stick around for most of the game. So it means that's one less line elf I'm putting on there every single time we kick off. Both catchers in the game, the thrower looking really good, and both war dancers kicking around as well. We've got a really good arsenal here. For Wood Elves to be able to pull off some pretty decent scoring. The downside is they're up against the Marienburg Minotaurs, so fend can be a really new if you're trying to punch some kind of running lane to break through. Now we've got 1 2 3 4 movement 8 pieces and everybody else is movement 7, so it doesn't take much. But if you can't get those guys out, if you can't find a way to make a running lane, 2+, 3+, 3+ dodge rolls tend to add up a bit and it can go a bit wrong. So with some stand firm, with a lot of block and that fend, it's going to be difficult to move the Minotaurs out of the way. Now, flip side, let's look at the Minos. Multiple block with Mighty Blow +2 and a Boney the Ogre, who I'll admit did struggle last game, with Mighty Blow +1 and Strength 5. Oh man, the Wood Elves are going to have to disengage really heavily here against the Nobility team, because the Nobility team has got the potential to put on so much Mighty Blow. And when you're already armor 8+, then that's 56% of the time you're going to be breaking the armor, and it's even more when you've got Mighty Blow +2 there. So we're going to have to avoid the Giant and the Ogre with the Wood Elves the entire time. If Nobility can pile on the pressure and take away just any hope of the Wood Elves being able to redeploy, it's going to be difficult. That said, you only need 5 elves to score a touchdown most of the time, so it could be that the Wood Elves manage to win, but at a bit of a cost. However, I think both these teams are in a good spot, and it should be a very good matchup, because Ian has chosen to spend his inducement money on a fireball. Now the reason for that, in his words, is because the Giant takes up 4 squares. Any one of those 4 squares is eligible to be hit by a fireball. So he says, actually, the Giant gives me a big scope to be able to take a shot at taking him out, along with some other players as well. And when it comes to Wood Elves, with their low armor, one guy down with a Mighty Blow hit, it could be a really good way to take out the Giant, take out some elves without putting on too much pressure. So it'll be interesting to see how he uses the fireball. So let's talk about the Viewer Championship. So as you guys will know, by the fact that it is now Thursday and this video normally comes out on Monday, I'm running a bit behind due to real life things, which is good, but bad. So I'm sorry that we're a bit late this week. It means I haven't been able to run the numbers for the Viewer Championship yet, but we can still talk about the rules as they stand. So every week we have this preview video that goes up, which allows you guys to get a guess in on the score and the outcome. So if you think it's going to be a draw, if you think the Wood Elves are going to win but they're going to score 3 touchdowns to 2, get them in, because each data point you get right will score you a point. So if you get the outcome correct, and for each team's score you get correctly regardless of outcome. So if you say Wood Elves are going to win 3-2 but actually Marienburg Minotaurs win but they score 2 touchdowns, you'll still get a point. We would like the predictions in by 9 o'clock UK Saturday, because that is when the game will go out to our Patreons, and then Sunday the game goes out for everybody else. Now, as it stands, we're running on track, so we should have the game out on the Saturday for our Patreons this week. Thank goodness, because we're nearly caught up now as well, which is wonderful. So get your guesses in, because points are gonna win prizes as it comes to the end of the season. Now we are we're 9 games in of a 15 game standard season, so we are about halfway now, which is pretty good. So yes, there's still plenty of time to go. So what we'll do, I think, next week is we'll have a big roundup of the Viewer Championship, and kind of a roundup of where the season is so far. Okay, so we've looked at the teams, we've looked at the matchup, we've looked at the fact that Ian Triplow is going to be running a Giant and a Wizard against me. This is just the best game. I love this. We've got Giants, we've got Elves, we've got Ogres. I'm just really happy. This is a great matchup. Now, this is not going to be a spoiler. I have already shot this game. We have already filmed it, and it is a very fun one. And I just love Giants, and I cannot wait for you guys to see this game in a few days' time. So get your guesses in for the scores. And here's to everything going back to normal nice and quickly. Thanks very much for watching. I'm going to disappear. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. It's Thursday. We've got the podcast coming out Saturday. So will be back. Things will be back to normal, hopefully. Thank goodness. In the meantime, go and play a game with giants. They're awesome. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content, we get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead Podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.